සුතං ඒකං සමයං භගවා සාවන්තියං විහෙරති 제තවනේ අනාථපිණ්ඩිකංස ආරාමේ අතකෝ අඤ්ඤතරා දේවතා අබින්කන්තාය රන්තියා අබින්කන්ත වන්නා කේවල කම්පං 제තවනං ඕවාසෙන්වා යේන භගවාතේනුපසංකමී උපසංකමින්වා භගවන්තං අභිවාදෙන්වා ඒකමන්තං අන්තාසී ඒකමන්තං තිතාකෝසා දේවතා භගවන්තං ගාතාය අංජබාසී බහුදේවා මනුන්සාච මංගලානි අචින්තයොං ආකංකමානා සොන්තානං බ්‍රෝහි මංගලමුන්තමං අසේවනාච බාලානං පණ්ඩිතානං ච සේවනා පූජාච පූජනීයානං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං පතිරූපදේශවාසෝච පුම්බේච කත පුඤ්ඤතා අන්ත සම්මා පනිදිච ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං බාහු සංචංච සිම්පංච විනයෝච සුසිංකිතෝ සුභාසිතාච යාවාචා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං මාතා පිතු උපට්ඨානං පුන්තදාරංස සංඝෝ අනාකුලාච කම්මන්තා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං දානංච ධම්මචරියාච ඥාතකානංච සංඝෝ අනවංජානි කම්මානි ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං ආරති විරති පාපා මංජපානාච සංයමෝ අප්පමාදෝච ධම්මේසු ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං ගාරවෝච නිවාතෝච සන්තුන්තිච කතං යුතා කාලේන ධම්ම සවනං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං කන්තිච සෝව චන්සතා සමනානංච දන්සනං කාලේන ධම්ම සාකච්ඡා ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං තපෝච බ්‍රහ්මචරියංච අරිය සංචාන දන්සනං නිබ්බාන සංචිකිරියාච ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං පුන්තංස ලෝක ධම්මී චින්තං යන්සන කම්පති අසෝකං විරජං කේමං ඒතං මංගලමුන්තමං ඒතාදිසානි කන්වාන සම්බන්තමපරාදිතා සම්බන්ත සොන්තිං ගච්ඡන්තිතං තේසං මංගල මුන්තමන්ති ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං කරණීය මන්ත කුසලේන යන්තං සන්තං පදං අபிසමින්ච සක්ඛෝජෝච සෝජෝච සුවචෝචං සමුදෝ අනතිමානි සන්තුන්සකෝච සුභරෝච අම්පකින්චෝච සල්ලහුකවුන්ති සන්තින්ද්‍රියෝච නිපකෝච අම්පගම්බෝ කුලේසු අනුනුගින්දෝ නච කුන්දං සමාචරේ කිංචි යේන විඤ්ඤූ පරේ උපවදෙය්‍යං සුඛිනෝ වාකේමිනෝ හන්තු සම්බේ සන්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතන්තා ඒකේචිපාන භූතන්ති තසවාතාවරාවා අනවසේසා දීඝාවායේ මහන්තාවා මංජිමාරංසකානුකතුලා දිත්ථාවායේව අන්දින්තා යේච දුරේ වසන්ති අවිදුරේ භූතාවා සම්භවේසීවා සම්බේ සන්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතන්තා නපරෝ පරං නිකුම්බේත ඥාති මඤ්ඤේත කන්ත චිනං කංචි ව්‍යාරෝසනා පටික සංඥා ඥාඤ්ඤ මඤ්ඤංස දුක්ඛ මිච්ඡේය මාතා යතානියං පුන්තං ආයුසා ඒක පුන්ත මනුරංකේ ඒවම්පි සම්බභූතේසු මාන සංභාවයේ අපරිමාණ මෙත්තංච සම්බලෝකස්මින් මාන සංභාවයේ අපරිමාණ උන්දං අදෝච තිරියංච අසංභාදං අවේරං අසපත්තං තින්ඨං චරං නිසින්නෝවා සයානෝවායාවතන්ස විගතමින්දෝ ඊතං සතින් අදින්ඨේය බ්‍රහ්මමේතං විහාරං ඉදමාහෝ දින්ඨින්ච අනුපගම්ම සීලවා දන්සනේන සම්පන්නෝ කාමේසු විනය්‍යගේදං නහි ජාතු ගම්බසේයං පුනරේති.
Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma out there. Wow, very good morning to all of you. Happy to see so many of you have really logged in to the Sunday Facebook Live. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to SJBA 86 online Sunday Buddha Puja service. We are happy that many of you have been following this weekly online Buddha Puja service. Let us prepare ourselves and sitting comfortably, relax our bodies and compose our mind, let go of thinking about the past and future and be in the present moment. I'd like to welcome those who are logging in from the north and south and to the west coast, which is the Klang and Coast Buddhist Society. All right. We will carry on with our program. Brothers and sisters, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. Let's do the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panchasila. Panatipata veramani sekkapadang samadhiyami. Adenadana veramani sekkapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccācara veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapammadatthana veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkapadani samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijacharana sampano sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati satta deva manussanang buddho bhagavati. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sandidiko akaliko ehipasiko opanayiko pacatang vedittabbo venyuiti. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Nyāyāya patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Sami patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Yadidang chattari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo daktineyo anjalikaraniyo anuttarang punyaketang lokasati. Metta Sutta. Karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang parang abhisamecha sako uju cha suju cha suvacho jassamudu anadimani santu sako cha subaro cha appaki cho cha sallahukavutti Sandindriyo cha nipako cha appagabbo kulesu ananugido Nachakudang samachare kinchi venu vinu pare upavadeyong Sukino va kemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta Yeke chipana bhutati tasava thava rava anavasesa Digavaye mahantava majimara sakanukatula Detavayeva additaye cha dure vasanti avidure Bhutava sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta Na paro parang nikubbeta na timanneta katachinang kanchi Vyaro sanna patigasanya nyanya manyasa pakdukachi bicheya Mata yatani yang putang ayusa eka putta manurake Evang pisabba bhutesu manasang bhavaye aparimanang Metang cha sabba lokasmin manasang bhavaye aparimanang Udang ado cha diriyang cha asambadang averang asapatang Mata yatani yang putang ayusa eka putta manurake Evang pisabba bhutesu manasang bhavaye aparimanang Diting cha anupagamma silava dasanena sampanno Kamesu vinayagedang nahi jato gapaseyang punareti Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katam Akchayang kamame bande buripanya tathagata Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang Akchayang kamame dhamma sandidika akalika Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang Akchayang kamame sangha saupatipanna anuttara Sadhu 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 Well, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, this morning we are very pleased to have Brother Ananda Fong to with us on this Sunday Buddha Puja, who will be sharing a Dhamma talk with us. Many of us already knew Brother Ananda Fong, and he was a student, a facilitator, and deputy principal at the Buddhist Institute Sunday Dhamma School at Buddhist Mahavihara, Kuala Lumpur, and he was also a student of the late Venerable Kesari Dhammananda. He was the president of Banda Utama Buddhist Society and principal of its Sunday Dhamma School. He was also the first Honorable Secretary General of the Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia in the year 2012 for 2 terms, and later the Assistant Honorable Secretary General till 2018. Great that he was appointed as a Director of Pustaka Nalanda in 2011 with the main library at Sri Sedang and the branch libraries in Kuala Lumpur, Johor Bahru, and Sungai Petani. Till now, he has been actively reading and promote the Nikayas and facilitates Dhamma courses and sharings regularly in the country. In these Dhamma talks, If you have any questions regarding the sharing, please type your questions in the comment section. We will try to take as many questions as possible, but due to time constraint, we may not be able to answer all the questions. I'd like to say that many of us enjoy Brother Ananda Fong's talk. It's because he had many materials for us to digest. It creates a wow factor, and there's so much to learn. This encourages us to continue to attend talks, listen to more Dhamma sharing. Brothers and sisters, with respect, we shall now invite Brother Ananda Fong to share the Dhamma talk with us this morning. The Buddha's teachings, where can I find them? Over to you, Brother Ananda Fong.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you for the kind introduction. Let me go to the next screen. I'll do a short puja. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. As Bharachuan has kindly introduced, this morning's sharing is regarding the Buddha's teachings. Where can I find them? This is actually a part 2 sharing, and part 1 was some months back. And the part 1 was talking about fake Buddha quotes, at least quotes that point to the fact that the Buddha said so, which actually the Buddha did not say so. And one of the characteristics was the posters normally had the word Buddha. They had a quote at the top and the bottom dash Buddha or Gautama Buddha. Or sometimes they only put the Buddha image there. So alluding to the fact that the Buddha said this, which in fact the Buddha did not. So they are classified as fake Buddha quotes. And that's why this morning we'll be continuing, or at least going over some of the characteristics of this kind of issues. And just a quick take on what we covered previously, analyzing a quote. Now, this particular quote, awake, be the witness of your thoughts. You are what observes, not what you observe. And it's a claim that the Buddha said so. And previously shared, there were some individuals in the internet that actually do a lot of work to try to figure out where these quotes come from and whether they are actually from the Buddha or not. And this particular analysis is by Bohi Paksa. It happens to be recorded in a publication published in lineslaw.com. Here, let me read some of his comments. Many fake Buddha quotes are, of course, Dhammic in spirit, sometimes even being paraphrases of scriptural texts. But a number of them misrepresent the Buddha's teachings. One kind of distortion we see in these fake quotes is the importation of concepts from other spiritual traditions, which means it's a nice way of saying it is not from the Buddha, they're from other religious teachers teaching other concepts, not Buddhistic concepts. The first two sentences of these quotes are from Thomas Byram's rendering of the Dhammapada, an early Buddhist text. The original Pali literally translates as, be devoted to heedfulness, guard your mind. And this is from Dhammapada verse 327. Note that there is no suggestions of our being the witness. The concept of a witness consciousness is drawn out from Buddhism, but from the Vedanta tradition. Hinduism is concerned with identifying the real self, Atman in Sanskrit and Atta in Pali. So this is clearly not from the Buddha. Buddha's position regarding views of the self was utterly different. He pointed out that anything you might take to be the essence of who you are, your physical form or your consciousness, is in fact anatta, not self. On the way to awakening, all self-identification is to be abandoned. And you certainly cannot take the part of yourself that observes experience or any part of yourself to be essential you. So this quote, which purports to be the Buddha's teaching, is often cited by Buddhists, directly contradicts the Dhamma. In this case, contradicts the Buddha's teaching. So of course, some people say, well, it's very dhammic in nature. Well, the Buddha has something to say about misquoting the Buddha. So in this particular extract from a teaching from the Buddha, from the lectures of the Buddha, the title is called Slandering or Misrepresenting the Buddha. So the translation says, mendicants or monks, the Buddha said, these two misrepresent the realized one or misrepresent the Buddha. What two? One who explains what was not spoken by the Buddha as spoken by him, and one who explains what was spoken by the Buddha as not spoken by him. These two misrepresent the Buddha. And at the bottom, these two don't misrepresent the realized one. What two? One who explains what was not spoken by the Buddha as not spoken by him, and one who explained what was spoken by the Buddha as spoken by him. These two don't misrepresent the realized one. And this is from the Abhasita Sutta, from the Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 2, Sutta number 23. You notice when I do quote words of the Buddha, I give the name of the lecture and the arrangement, which particular Nikaya or text. And you can use the information right at the bottom, in this case, Abhasita Sutta with AN 2.23. Put it into your favorite search engine, and you can actually read the whole sutta or whole lecture or talk by the Buddha for yourself. Now, in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta from the Digha Nikaya, Sutta number 16, the Buddha is mentioned to say that the Sangha means the community of monastics, of monks, of bhikkhus, of nuns, of bhikkhunis, wise, well-disciplined, apt, and learned, preservers of the Dhamma, living according to Dhamma, abiding by appropriate conduct, and having learned the Master's word, are able to expound it, preach it, proclaim it, establish it, reveal it, explain it in detail, and make it clear. Until when adverse opinions arise, they shall be able to refute them thoroughly and well, and to preach this convincing and liberating Dhamma. So clearly, we should go to the Buddhist monastic community for advice and for elaboration and to hear the words of the Buddha at reasonable times. And of course, to be engaged in discussion with them who are more knowledgeable, to explain the details so that we too can understand what the Buddha taught. Then, where do you find these teachings, which is the primary aim of this morning's sharing? Well, this is found in the Tipitaka. Many people ask, we know about the holy books of religion A, we know about the holy books of religion B, but what is the holy book of the Buddhists? That is basically the Tipitaka. Ti meaning three, Pitaka meaning baskets. And the Buddhist teachings contained in these three baskets, comprising of the Vinaya Pitaka, which is the discipline for monastics, many stories inside there, and many precepts for the monastics to observe in their training process. In the Sutta Pitaka, meaning discourses, or what I would like to call lectures given by the Buddha, as well as senior disciples during the Buddha's time. Abhidhamma Pitaka, the high doctrine, primarily very psychological. And the language used in the Tipitaka is that of Pali Bhasa, the language of the Buddhist text. And the Buddha spoke Magadhi Prakrit, a kind of a vernacular, that means vocal spoken, colloquial language spoken in that region of India where the Buddha traversed. The Buddha did not speak Sanskrit. And the Sutta Pitaka, where I spend most of my time studying and we can learn a lot from, it contains the 5 Nikayas, meaning comprising the Digha Nikaya. Digha means long lectures. Nikaya, long collections. Majjhima Nikaya, not so long lectures. Samyutta Nikaya, lectures arranged by subject topics. Anguttara Nikaya, lectures numerically arranged. So there's a book of 1, book of 2, book of 3, and so on. Kudaka Nikaya, what we call minor collection or miscellaneous, because Kudaka Nikaya contains many other books, not just suttas, but many books. Here, I give a sampling of some of the books, well-known books contained in this particular Nikaya. Dhammapada, many people have heard of it, many quotes from the Buddha. Also, the Sutta Nipata. Sutta Nipata contains the ever-favorite suttas chanted frequently in the temples, associations, and the viharas. And just now in the puja, Brother Chuan chanted the Karaniya Metta Sutta, which is contained in the Sutta Nipata. Other popular suttas also chanted are the Ratana Sutta as well as the Mangala Sutta, both also found in the Sutta Nipata. And of course, the next book, Theragata. Thera meaning the monks, Gata meaning hymns or poems. So Theragata is a collection of hymns or quotes from the monks. Therigata, hymns from the nuns. Iti Vudaka is a collection of lectures recorded by a palace servant girl when she heard the teachings of the Buddha. Udana, exclamations from the Buddha, and many other books found in the Kudaka Nikaya. Now, as earlier, I started off by showing some fake Buddha quotes and then followed by the Abhasita Sutta poster. Here is yet another poster that takes an extract from the Mahanama Sutta, also from the Anguttara Nikaya, in this case, book 11, Sutta number 12. Here it says, who is the Buddha? The Blessed One is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. And this is the verse we actually chanted earlier in the puja session led by Brother Chuan, starting with Itipiso, Bhagava, and so on. So posters that purport to quote from the Buddha should mention the source as well as the collection coding, so that those who want to verify, those who want to read the whole of the sutta can have an opportunity to do so. Now, where did all this what I call Tipitaka, the preservation of the Buddha's teaching, come from? Well, this happened during the first Sanghayana. Sanghayana is a term used, translated as rehearsal, the first rehearsal, or more popularly known, first Buddhist council. This was held 3 months after the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha, or the passing away of the Buddha. Ayasma Mahakassapa. Ayasma is another way of saying venerable Mahakassapa. So Ayasma Mahakassapa presided the first council, while Ayasma Upali recited the Vinaya, and Ayasma Ananda recited the suttas. And King Ajatasattu sponsored the council in the year 544 before Common Era, BCE. And this lasted for 7 months. And this was at the Satapani caves just outside of Rajagaha in the kingdom of Magadha. About 100 years after the Buddha's Mahaparinibbana, there was a second Sanghayana. And Ayasma Revata chaired the council with King Kalasoka providing the logistics for the council in the year 443 BCE. And this lasted 8 months. The primary purpose of this particular council was to dwell on the questions on the Vinaya, the code of discipline. There were some disputes and controversies regarding this. Then there was a third Sanghayana. It was held approximately 300 years after the Mahaparinibbana in the year 250 before Common Era. And at that time, Ayasma Moggaliputta Tissa presided, while King Asoka, the famous Asoka, which most people are familiar with, sponsored or provided the logistics for the council, and this was in the year 308 before Common Era. The proceedings lasted approximately 9 months. Now, most people are familiar with the Fourth Buddhist Council, but usually they refer to the one held by King, what they call sponsored by King Kanishka in the northwestern portion of India. But this particular Fourth Council is that of the Theravada Sanghayana, the Fourth Theravada Sanghayana, held in Sri Lanka. And it was held in Aluvihara, and they caused the writing down, the first time writing down of the Pali Tipitaka in the year 83 BCE. Now, before this, during the first council, the second council, and third council, the primary method of preservation was through large groups of monks called Banakas. And Banakas were charged, groups of Banakas were charged with memorizing the various lectures, various portions of the Pitaka. And it's not one individual, but large groups, and they chanted it all together. Any one person making a mistake, they forgot a word here or there, they'll be filled in by the rest of the Banaka group. And this has been the standard way in which many Indian ideas, not just peculiar to Buddhism, but to the Indian ideas, were preserved. They didn't have the occupation of writing down things. But around 83 BCE in Sri Lanka, when there was a famine and the conditions for the survival of the Sangha were threatened, the elders at that time thought it appropriate to appeal to the king to help to provide the logistics. The king in Sri Lanka time was Vatagamini Abaya, and he sponsored this, and it was held in the Aluvira, and there was the first writing down on Ola leaves of the Theravada canon. And of course, more modern days, we have the fifth Sanghayana in the year 1871, Common Era, held in the Myanmar, and the sixth Sanghayana, the sixth Buddhist Council, held in 1954, Common Era, in Yangon, also in Myanmar. So here's yet another poster from the Katanyu Sutta. Katanyu means gratitude, from the Anguttara Nikaya Book of Two. So you can see the various verses mentioned here. Now, the main thing today is, where can I find them? So earlier we mentioned about the Tipitaka, is contained, but in the 21st century, where can I go out to refer to them today? So resources available for our use. Well, primarily divided into soft resources or hard resources. Hard means something you can hold on to in terms of books, in terms of CDs, DVDs, or going to a library. But soft resources, web-based. As I mentioned, you can actually go to various internet sources and so on, and apps. Here I give you a brief survey of this. This is by no means comprehensive, but it is more than enough to start you off for a detailed study if you do not want to leave your house as far as soft resources. But some people, many of us, do not like to just look at the computer screen. You might like to hold a book and so on. So hard resources are ever useful. Now at the bottom, you have some what I call soft resources, websites which we can go to. BuddhaNet on the bottom left is what I call based in Australia and initiated by Venerable Panyavaro. The bottom center is Access to Insight by John Bullitt, and a lot of the translations from Pali to English have been initiated by Bhikkhu Thanisaro. Of course, it contains many other translations and books also, which you can download and read online or cost to be printed. Many are available in PDF also. Bottom right, the Sutra Central, also based in Australia, initiated by Bhikkhu Sujato, is ever popular also. And of course, here one series right at the center of the screen, many books or publications by Wisdom Publication, which you can purchase in terms of hard copies and so on. The top right is that of volumes from the Pali Text Society. All these we will elaborate further. Now, soft resources, access to insight. For many years, I personally have been using this particular what they call site. It's very comprehensive, and they have many articles or even soft copy of books published by well-known authors. They have also the Bhikkhu Thanisaro has also helped to provide study guides with pointing to various sections of the Nikayas in the Sutta Pitaka. The essential language is in English, but certain portions of the display screen indicated by the box at the bottom left, when you click at the top portion where the sutta reference is mentioned, you can actually, it will open up on another tab on your browser. You can actually read the whole sutta in Pali. So it's very useful for those who are familiar with Pali. You can actually refer to it or just refer to the English translation. Not all English translations are by Bhikkhu Thanisaro. Some depending on which sutta. Some of the suttas are popular. There may be many alternative translations also provided for at the various pages. So it's very useful for individuals to study. And some people might wonder, why should I read so many translations of a particular sutta? Well, the original language spoken by the Buddha, many point at Pali. And since it's a foreign language to the most of us, we need translations, and different experts or language experts will have different renderings for different Buddhist terms. So reading the different translations by different authors help you to get an idea on the range of meaning. When that fails and you want to go deeper into it, then you have to read Pali, and you have to learn some words of Pali. And available online also are other pages which provide English dictionaries or thesaurus. They give you the range of meaning of a particular Pali term. An example of Pali, well, taken from the Mangala Sutta, the Sutta on blessings, found in the Khuddaka Nikaya. Here displayed is the English starting portion, the introduction to the sutta. Here you can clearly see that terms like Evang Me Sutang, as I underline at the top, thus have I heard. Common words like Bhagava, meaning exalted one or the blessed one. Arame, meaning a monastery. Devata, or deity, or devas. Most of us are familiar with the term devas. Then Ubasetva, illuminated, because devas are the luminous ones from the higher plane existence. When they come to see the Buddha, they light up the whole forest area. In this case, this sutta was started with a question posed by the devas to the Buddha, and the Buddha later provided a list of answers. Of course, Mangala Sutta is about blessings, so there are a list of 38 blessings. And typically in Indian culture, you have whoever, human or devas, they come and salute. Okay, Abhivadetva, respectfully saluted. And in the usual Indian custom, it is Anjali, folding of the palms, two palms together, and hold it to your chest. That is to respectfully salute. And Ekamantam Attasi, stood at one side, which is the common, what they call manners or etiquette. When one were to, after paying respect, you stand at one side and then you talk to the Buddha accordingly. And then the devas will talk to the Buddha in verse form, gata in verse or in the poetry fashion or hymn fashion. This is a typical rendition of the suttas. Here is yet another poster taken from the Metta Nisangsa Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 11. Many people ask the question, what is the benefit of developing loving kindness, developing metta? So in this particular sutta, the Buddha gives a list of 11. So you can go through them at your own free time. Now, moving further, soft resources, the BuddhaNet. Well, BuddhaNet is a non-sectarian organization, which means offering services to all Buddhist traditions. So it was administered by is administered by Venerable Panyavaro and a dedicated team of lay volunteers from the Bohi Tree Forest Monastery and Retreat Center in the northern portion of NSW, Australia. It is non-profit. Now, the picture on the left shows the main website entry, and the bottom picture towards the center, you have an extract of one of the pages where those who are interested in looking for materials for Sunday Dhamma school, you may actually refer to this and you can get a good start. And Bante has also helped to compile primary level, secondary level, and supplementary levels of exploration or material. So there are many workbooks you can actually download. Teachers of Sunday Dhamma School can download and use as materials. And not just Sunday Dhamma schools, even lay people like us can benefit a lot from the materials given in this particular section found in BuddhaNet. Another soft resources, Sutta Central. Here, of course, the screenshots here I provided is that of the slightly older version of the website. They have since updated it. So Sutta Central aims at facilitating the study of Buddhist texts from comparative and historical perspectives. The texts represent the early Buddhist texts, preserved not only in the Pali Suttas and Vinaya Pitakas, but also in Chinese and Tibetan translations, and in fragmentary remains in Sanskrit and other languages. So the Sutta Center offers a gateway to this material by enabling users to quickly identify the Chinese, Tibetan, and or Sanskrit parallels of any given Pali discourses and vice versa. I'd like to add that in this particular website, when you are referring to, say, the English translation of a particular sutta, you can set on the screen, perhaps side by side, the Pali verses that accompany line by line translation, English and Pali. And when you highlight any particular Pali word, the dictionary translation where available can also appear on screen. So this is a very one-stop shop comprehensive website where you can actually read the suttas, refer to the Pali, and when your vocabulary or understanding of the Pali term fails you, highlighting a particular word, the website will provide the Pali dictionary translation too. Of course, other soft resources, the digital Pali reader, which is more of an extension tool in the Mozilla Firefox browser, and it provides a study of the Pali language at an advanced level. And for the rest of us, we can refer to web search engines. So a lot of, not all websites show you authentic Buddha's teachings, but there will be, as you go through experience, when you go to various sites, some of them recommended by the earlier pages, you can actually get a lot of other materials in terms of audio recordings, video, links to video talks, and so on. So web engines, judicious use, intelligent use of web search engines and searching certain Buddhist terms is required. And of course, as you search some of those web search engines, they have big data associated with it. It tends to learn what you like to search and where you like to search from, in what context you like to search from. When the big data learns how you search, they will slowly put to one side all those not so authoritative Buddhist sites, and you show you more results from the Buddhist authoritative sites. So in other words, you are teaching the web search engine big data how you want how you want to search and where to search from. And of course, soft resources include audio, video. Nowadays, a lot of available in podcasts, Spotify also, in YouTube for videos, and so on. Now here, I mentioned Vihara Buddhagotamanet.org in Tomo Perak, featuring many Dhamma sharings by Ayasma, the late Ayasma Dhammavudo Mahathera. There are also many audio talks by Ayasma Agatita Mahathera, Ayasma Kumara Bhikkhu, both from the Sasadanaraka Buddhist Sanctuary, and so on. And of course, some like the idea of having apps or applications installed on your smartphone, whether iOS or Android platforms. Some provide links to Dhammapada verses, including the recitation in Pali, followed by a English translation. Some also provide the Pali dictionaries in app form, referring to this dictionary or that dictionary, which you can select, and so on. So for those who like to use apps. So here is yet another fake Buddha quote. In this case, the quote is mentioning, the teaching is simple. Do what is right. Be pure. Okay, claim to be from the Buddha. In this case, Bohipaksa has mentioned that it is from Thomas Byram's appalling rendition of the Dhammapada. Although it's found there as yet the teaching is simple, do what is right, be pure. Sometimes the quote ends with at the end of the way is freedom, which is a very, very strange translation. And here, as far as I'm aware, Byram didn't know any Pali, which is the language of the Dhammapada. Now, if you are at all familiar with Buddhist teaching, you almost certainly have heard of Dhammapada verse 183. Those who have been following many of my Dhamma sharings online, you would know that I frequently quote this particular verse. Here are a few translations of this Dhammapada verse. Bohipaksa himself translated as ceasing to do evil, learning to do good, purifying the heart. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. And Ayasma Buddha Rakita translated as to avoid all evil, to cultivate good, to cleanse one's mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. And Bhikkhu Tanisaro translated as the non-doing of any evil, the performance of what's skillful, the cleansing of one's mind. This is the teaching of the awakened. And Jill Fronsdale from the US translated as doing no evil, engaging in what's skillful, and purifying one's mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. And Venerable Narada Thera, not to do any evil, to cultivate good, to purify one's mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. So clearly, from all these varying translations, there is a common thread, which is very, very different from the earlier fake Buddha quote. When all fails, refer to the Pali. Sabba papasa akaranang kusalasa upasampada satita paridapanam etang buddhana sasana. This translation I have taken from the Venerable Buddha Rakita. Now, other resources. Earlier we covered soft resources, which you can sit down and refer on your notebook. But hard resources, for those who like to actually hold a book. Well, the first one, the Tipitaka from Pali Text Society. And you can actually purchase these Pali texts from palitext.com, hosted in the UK. Now, the Pali Text Society was initiated by T.W. Rhys Davies or Thomas William Davies. The society was founded in 1881, and T.W. Rhys Davies wanted to foster and promote the study of Pali texts. So they are written in Romanized characters. Why is this mentioned as Romanized characters? Well, because Pali is verbal, it's vernacular, it's spoken. There are no ABCs or any characters associated with the Pali language. So it is just sound, and so it can be rendered in different scripts, in Sinhala script, in Thai script, in Chinese script, in Myanmar script. Of course, they try to render it in Romanized script, but of course, there's a need for special characters to produce the sounds of Pali. Now here, the picture on top here shows you what they call some volumes. In this case, maroon hard-covered books, which you can actually purchase. These are the ones containing the translations in Romanized English. The gray colored hardcover volumes are those also rendered in Romanized characters, but in Pali. Okay. So these Pali Text Society volumes, hard copy volumes, are very, very well published, translated a long time ago. So the English is a little bit dated for modern English speakers. Typically, full volumes are found in libraries because these volumes are not so cheap to purchase because of the high production cost. So normally, physical libraries will house them. And of course, wisdom publications from the US. The center right is that of a web page, and the bottom row are those of the publications, some of the publications. But it is not of the whole Tipitaka. Many are from the Sutta Pitaka, and many of the Nikayas have been published, but not all. Here are pictures of the Digha Nikaya on the left, the greenish hardcover, and the right-hand side, they have the slightly maroon with the yellow boundaries or orange boundaries from the Majjhima Nikaya. Now, notice that the Digha Nikaya, the translations were given by Maurice Walsh, and on the right, the Majjhima Nikaya, translated by, a lot of it has been translated by Bhikkhu Nyanamoli. Some of you, I also have many copies of the Majjhima Nikaya earlier, not published by recent publications, but published earlier, but translations by Bhikkhu Nyanamoli, a British monk. And of course, Bhikkhu Bodhi has weighed in and looked through the translations, updated it, and added to it. And of course, the blue cover on the left, you have the Samyutta Nikaya arranged by subject topic. These are translations by Bhikkhu Bodhi. And on the right, purplish blue, or translations of the Anguttara Nikaya by Bhikkhu Bodhi. Now, Sutta Nipata, as I mentioned earlier, some of the ever popular suttas, the Karanina Metta Sutta, Mangala Sutta, and the Ratana Sutta, and many others have been published in this particular compilation together with commentaries translated from the Pali by Bhikkhu Bodhi. And on the right, for those who want a smaller anthology of discourses from the Pali Canon, edited and introduced by Bhikkhu Bodhi. This is a good start for those who want a hard copy, but a selection of the suttas. Now, note that all these publications by the recent publication, the various Nikaya, Sutta Nipata, the Buddha's words, and so on, are not just available as hard copy. You can actually purchase the soft copy to be read on your computer screen. And the advantage of the soft copy version is that you can do word searches. Now, other hard resources cover things like paying a visit to library, Buddhist library resources. Now, the Sri Dhamma Library, which was previously housed at the first floor of the Wisma Sri Dhamma at Buddhist Mahavihara, Brickfields, Kuala Lumpur. Now, I'm not too sure because of the recent renovations at Wisma Sri Dhamma, so it may not be re-operational yet. But you can check back with Brickfields Mahavihara to see when they will reopen. And also, Banda Utama Buddhist Society, BU3, they have the Utama Bohi Vihara Library, very comprehensive library where you can actually visit and read the books there. And the well-known and very comprehensive, the K. Gunaratana Memorial Library, housed at Mahindarama Buddhist Temple, Jalan Kampar, Georgetown, Penang. And this is a wide-angle shot of the interior. Very nice reading premise. And of course, Pustaka Nalanda, of which I am the director. The top left-hand picture is that of the main library, where the Buddha Rupa is at the end. At the bottom portion are shelves containing 3 what they call compilations of the Tipitaka, one in Romanized script, one in Sinhala script, and one in Devanagari script. And they have many, many books. So Pustaka Nalanda is an integral part of the Nalanda Buddhist Society, fulfilling its objectives to promote learning, study, practice, understanding of the Buddha's teachings. It supports many educational programs offered by Nalanda Institute, of which currently the certificate in Buddhist studies is currently running. It also provides material for Nalanda Dhamma School, Nalanda Free School, and other Nalandian divisions and departments. This is at Sri Sedang. The bottom portion is that of the Nalanda Education and Outreach, the Neo Center, the branch at Jalan Riang, off Jalan Gembira in Kuala Lumpur. This is a smaller library, just over 1,000 titles. And the bottom right, center and bottom right is that of the library at Sungai Petani, also just over 1,000 titles. And in Johor Bahru, two sides of a reading hall, also more than 1,000 titles. And the more recent library, the K. Sri Dhammananda Center Library, this is housed in K. Sri Dhammananda Center itself. This is primarily more run by the what they call Nalanda Dhamma School. Now, Pustaka Nalanda uses a software system called the OPEC, the Web Online Public Access Catalog, OPEC, search facility. So before paying a visit to Pustaka Nalanda, you can actually do web searches. On the right, you can see the advanced search or a simple search, and it will give you indications as to whether Pustaka Nalanda has this particular title or books by a certain author. So you can say visit at this particular URL. So yet another poster indicating that this particular quote from the Dhammapada, verse 24. Now, earlier in Pustaka Nalanda, I indicated there was a shelf there that contained 3 compilations of the Tipitaka. This particular compilation is it's a 40-volume Romanized Pali compilation. And it in May 2010, Nalanda Institute, Malaysia, a leading Buddhist education institution in Malaysia, was a proud recipient of the World Tipitaka. So, a gift of wisdom and peace by the Dhamma Society of Thailand in honor of the late royal patron, Her Royal Highness Princess Galyani Vadana, the elder sister of His Majesty King Bhumipol, the late King Bhumipol Adulyadej. And this presentation ceremony was held at the Thai embassy, and you can see the group of recipients there. Now, this particular presentation of the World Tipitaka by the Dhamma Society of Thailand typically has been offering the full 40-volume Tipitaka to many, many countries and universities. In Malaysia, Nalanda Institute, now housed in Pustaka Nalanda, is the only recipient of this. In Singapore, there's also the Buddha Mandala Buddhist Society is a recipient of Singapore's copy of the World Tipitaka, and many other countries. So essentially, concluding this morning's sharing, are you being conned by fakes? It is incumbent on the Buddhists to know a little bit about the Buddha's teachings. And of course, not all of us are what they call walking encyclopedias. We still have to refer to the text. We have to refer to our libraries, our books, or searches to verify certain things, to study the Dhamma. And therefore, we should be ever watchful to check whether anyone sharing with us via social media, your WhatsApp and what they call Telegram and websites, whether certain quotes purportedly from the Buddha are really from the Buddha or not. And the first telltale sign that it is not from the Buddha is when they put dash Buddha or Gautama Buddha. For me, I've seen so many fakes that by default, it is not innocent and proven guilty, but it is guilty until proven innocent because they're so numerous. So they will have to quote it from the sutta and give you the link. Therefore, at least I have more confidence that it is the real thing and not a fake. So again, we should not slander or misrepresent the Buddha. And we should study what the Buddha taught and quote and read what they call, do not misrepresent what the Buddha said. So in the end, the concluding page, we have the famous Dhammapada verse 183 that summarizes the whole teaching of all the Buddhas, that we should endeavor to avoid evil, to cultivate to avoid evil, to do good, and to purify your mind. Now, in another sharing, a part 3 to this series, the Buddha's teaching, Wisdom in the Nikaya, a brief survey. Here in this future sharing, I will attempt to extract from the different Nikayas, the Digha Nikaya, Majjhima, certain popular suttas and give you a brief summary. It is not a sutta study, it is just a survey of some of the suttas, selected suttas, and telling you what are some of the advices, some of the advantages of that particular sutta. Then you can go and read it for yourself or look out for any other teachings or online sharings that may be available that touches on that particular sutta. Okay. So in closing, benediction, those who are familiar with the Pali. Akasattha ca bhummattha deva naga mahitika punyang tang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sasanang cirang rakkantu desanang cirang rakkantu mamperan. Patidana. Idang vo nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatuyo. Idang vo nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatuyo. Idang vo nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatuyo. Closing veneration. Arahang samma sambuddho bhagava buddhang bhagavantang abhivademi. Swakato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namasami. Supatipanno bhagavato savaga sangho sanghang namami. Saddhammo cirang titatu. May the good doctrine long endure. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu. May all beings be happy. So this is the end of my sharing this morning. Back to Brother Chuan, and perhaps any questions from the floor.
Brothers and sisters, you have any questions, please type your question in the comment box. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Brother Nanda's talk is always full of information. And there's so much to learn from Brother Nanda. Well, Brother Nanda, there's so many resources as you mentioned, whether it's hard copies or soft copies. Well, for beginners, I think it's good that you give us advice. Where do we start? Example, what are the titles of topics we should look for it and to start reading? Over to you.
Thank you for the question, Brother Chuan. For a lot of people, so-called people who are born as Buddhists, a good place to start is a book compilation of actually questions and answers given by Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda, the late chief of Brickfields Mahavihara. The book is called What Buddhists Believe, and it is a Q&A format. And where do these questions come from? These came from many questions where the Venerable Dhammananda has received. People have asked him these questions, and he decided, in fact, the questions are so much repeated that he decided to compile it and provide answer. So it is not a textbook. It is not to be read from page 1 to the last page. It is more of looking at the contents and any particular questions you have, particular any aspect in terms of the doctrine, the teachings of the Buddha, or questions about should Buddhists be vegetarians? Are Buddhists idol worshippers? You can look for the appropriate question in the contents and go to the particular chapter or section where the Venerable Dhammananda will address that particular question. So that is a very, very good start. For those who want very detailed and systematic study of the Buddha, all in one book. Another book is that of the Buddha and His Teachings by the Venerable Narada Thera. Many courses, certificate, and even higher certificate and diploma courses also will often cite this particular book by Venerable Narada as the go-to starting point. Of course, you can go into more detailed text later, but this is to anchor you in the basic teachings, getting to know the Buddha in terms of life of the Buddha, and also teachings like karma, rebirth, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, and all that. So the Buddha and his teachings by Venerable Narada Thera. In Malaysia, very commonly, we will go to the Brickfields Mahavihara, where to get this hard copy. Currently, it's published as a greenish cover, a thick book, so thick, and you can be purchased from the BMSM bookshop at Buddhist Mahavihara. Okay, so those are the two recommended. What Buddhists Believe by Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda for starters who do not want so detailed a doctrine analysis, but a general answer. And of course, those who want to start off by having a good grounding as to what the Buddha taught by referring to the Buddha and his teachings by Venerable Narada Thera. Both books are not only available hard copy. You can, for those who are armchair students who don't like to leave the house so much, you can actually download soft copies, the PDF copies of both books also. Okay.
It will be good, Brother Ananda, you can type the title of the second book you mentioned, The Buddha and His Teachings by Venerable Narada Thera. Doctor, just type the writer so that we can catch the writer's name. All right, that is good. In fact, what Buddhists believe, I myself have read that, and I also would recommend to all of you to have an easy reading, because this is more of a question and answer. There are certain things like what you say is that should Buddhists be vegetarian? It's a very good book that you can select the topics you have some doubts or you have different opinions that you heard. So this is a good reference, easy reading, and it's quick. I must say is that there are some people who likes to have a hard copy, and some will make it easy. You will like to have a quick reference via the computer. I think either way it is good. At least today, this morning, we know what is available. I think we should carry on to search for information. Search for information to make a reference. In fact, a few years ago, Brother Nanda and a few of the brothers have a series talk at the Subang Jaya Buddhist Association on using this title, What Buddhists Believe. And there were many of us, we attended the talk and we benefit from it. Can you, Brother Ananda Fong, you would like to recall about that series? Say a few things about that series.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, we have been many years since we have conducted that. And what do you call that series organized at Subang Jaya Buddhist Association was arranged, conducted by three speakers, Uncle Vijaya, Brother Tan Siang Chai, a regular speaker at SJBA Online also, and myself, three of us. And we will take turns to cover usually about 9 or 10 sessions. And due to popular demand, we just held one in 9 to 10 session series. And due to popular demand, they wanted a slightly deeper treatment. So we organize a syllabus for series 2 also, which also extracted more from the what Buddhists believe and covered things in greater detail. So we had the series 1 and series 2 both covered. In fact, especially series 1, we have covered it, I think, a few rounds already at SJBA. Many questions regarding the content and so on. Here at the bottom, you can see the title of the book, What Buddhists Believe by Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda. That is a very useful book, and you can share it with you can offer it as a gift to some of your relatives and friends, just to get to know. This is not a difficult read. It's actually a very simple read, and all Buddhists should have at least a copy in the shelf. If there are no Buddhist books in the house, at least this book will be there to answer some simple questions for those who want to ask. Okay. So the second book at the bottom, The Buddha and His Teaching, as I mentioned, by Venerable Narada Thera. This is more for courses, those who want systematic details about the life of the Buddha and also the Dhamma. And towards the end also, he has a few suttas explained somewhat by Venerable Narada Thera. I have to, despite the fact that I have actually gone through this book, I repeatedly go back to the book because I cannot remember everything. And I have to refresh my Dhamma understanding by referring to these books and so on. And from this book, the Bhante will guide you to certain topics, and you can go to other books and other hard copy or online resources, the soft resources, to read the suttas and all that. But this is the very strong foundation where you can start off by reading these books. I think SJBA has also got this book, compiled with other books together, isn't it? They have your own publication.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so that one I think compiled by Brother Chan Pun San, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many. So very good titles published also.
Yeah, I think this morning you mentioned about the using the book as a gift. To give it to your friends or relatives. I think that first book will be very good. What Buddhists believe, and well, for many of you who felt that you can follow the same, you can pack the books and give it to a group of your friends, or you can sponsor to have a reprint. I think that would be very good because it is easy reading for those who are new to Buddhism. Now, that is definitely a good suggestion. And another thing is that because we are having WhatsApp and then we are looking at the computers, social media, do you suggest that being a Buddhist, should we or should we not forward the sharing of those Buddha quotes, which is so attractive, and then we are so tempted to click forward and then send to other groups? Well, what's your advice on this?
Well, basically, I always go back, in terms of sharings and social media sharings, and whether from the Buddha or not from the Buddha, I always go back to the advice of the Buddha that is contained in the Kalama Sutta. And we have to ask questions whether it is wise. Kalama Sutta will advise you as to what is the basic criteria whereby you can share something, or somebody shared something with you, either in print or said to you, whether you want to accept that advice or that comment or not. Sometimes comments are nonsensical, not rooted in facts. Some are many of them are in hearsay, in fantasy, and so on. So we have to evaluate. But the basic issue about the whole of the Buddhism is that the whole of the Buddhist teaching is for humanity's welfare and for our benefit. So whatever is shared should not be antagonistic, should not cause hurt to other people or cause hurt to ourselves. It has to be a two-way benefit. That means it helps others and it helps us also. And it should be wise. So this is the primary purpose. It is compassion-based, it is filled with loving kindness. That's how the Buddha started his 45 years of sharing. And so those are some of the basic groundwork. Going a little bit more detail, if you want to analyze any particular statement also or actions by yourself, you can also refer to a sutta in which the Buddha taught his son, Venerable Rahula, the Ambapalitika Rahulovada Sutta, where the Buddha advises very young Rahula how to judge whether certain things you want to do or say is worth doing or saying. Don't talk about analysis of what thoughts appear in the mind. That is a bit more difficult for the majority of us. But at least what you do in terms of what physical actions you do and what you say. And in the end, it comes down to whether it is hurtful to other people and whether it's hurtful to you. It has to be a two-way. That means it must benefit other people. It must benefit you before you even consider doing it or saying it. This is some of the very, very basic. So if you understand that the whole of Buddhism, the 45 years of teaching, the whole of the Tipitaka is talking about compassion, about loving kindness, about benefiting the human race, of helping us to lead a good life so that we can be happy and contented. That is the primary way in which you judge anything. But if you read a certain sharing in social media and you're not sure what it's trying to say, or it is clear cut, that means it's telling you to be to take up arms and hurt other groups of people, that is something wrong already. Now, whether that advice is coming from a venerable or a lay person, we should question those advice, because the Buddha in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta said that even though a very senior monk, a very learned monk with many disciples, were simply give a talk, but the advice given in the so-called Dhamma talk goes against the whole of the Tipitaka, the spirit of the Tipitaka, something is very wrong. Okay, so we should even check those words. So the aspect about ehi pasiko, very often many Buddhist speakers will use the term ehi pasiko, come and see. Now, come and see seems oversimplistic. Come is taught an invitation to you to come forward, but to see means is to understand, to investigate, to find out, to discuss. So ehi pasiko is, although on the simple level translated as come and see, but it becomes translated as inviting investigation. That means you come and check out. So the Dhamma taught by the Buddha is ehi pasiko, is inviting your investigation. So even the Buddha is asking you to check things out. So what more if people share or say certain things to you through social media and whatever else? So please investigate before you forward it. Okay, when you forward it, do not try to wash your hands and say that, oh, I forward it as is. Just because you forward something as is, it doesn't mean that you are not responsible, because you forward it and you share wrong information, misinformation. Very often we hear before the a certain US president, previous president, last time we hear the word misinformation. Now there's a new term called disinformation. And what is disinformation? It's called information that is actually a lie. And disinformation means purposely forwarding a lie with the intention to lie. That is a very, so basically it's full of rubbish. Misinformation could be not knowing, because we are ignorant, we didn't learn the Buddha's teaching and we just forwarded it. But once you apply the investigation portion, whether it is compassionate, it is good for other people, it is good for us, when you apply that standard, at least there's some degree of checking. And this does not apply just to Dhamma. Many things we read in our newspapers, we watch on our television, even in the news, especially coming from politicians' mouths, we have to apply a lot of ehi pasiko. So do not be quick to draw conclusions and take action because of those comments. We have to think carefully first, whether the person who said it or forwarded it is a person of integrity or not. That means truthful to his word, trustworthy or not. So we have to question. If we judge them not, we might not want to bother listening on view and taking heed those persons' comments any longer. Certain politicians are so frequent at lying in providing this information, I apply the same standard as fake Buddha quotes. Why? Whatever coming out of that person's mouth, I will render as fake until proven innocent. So I won't even bother to listen. Please prove to me that what you say is reasonable. Because many people have assumed that it is innocent until proven guilty. But if the person is in the habit of lying, forwarding fake news, forwarding things which are detrimental to the human community, that means not compassionate, not full with loving kindness, then whatever else the person wants to say, if I happen to come across, I will require the person to prove it. Prove it to me before I even heed your whatever you say. Otherwise, I will delete it. I will move on, ignore it. Okay.
All right. So
Rata?
it looks like there's a very, very comprehensive reply to the question of whether we forward some of these quotations or some news. Well, I felt that you have brought up is that we always refer to the sutta. One example I would feel is that if somebody wants to create a very nice posters with the Buddha quote, and it would be good that they put the reference, whether it's Dhammapada 183. Then, if you are not sure of it, you can always go to the net and look for it and type the word and see whether it's real or not. If it's there, well, you are doing great justice to that quote and you can forward. But if it's just living attitudes and then you just forward because you like the quote and you are spreading to more and more people receiving it and keep on forwarding non-stop. Well, I think this morning we have learned something about the where do we find information, and also very important is that what are the beginning of learning or going deeper into study of Buddhism. Well, I must say that this morning we have learned a lot, and we must please help brothers and sisters. Please help me to thank the speaker Ananda Fong for doing such great investigative work or research and share with us in this online, in the comfort of our home, bringing the Dhamma to ourselves and to our family. And brothers and sisters, Dhamma, it is definitely very good. Sadhu sadhu to the speaker. Please help me to thank the speaker. And all of us have participated in this morning Sunday Buddha Puja service with a calm mind, listening to this Dhamma sharing. And with the merits accrued, let us share and dedicate merits to all living, departed relatives, families, friends, and all beings. May all beings be free from harm and danger. May they be free from suffering. Sharing mercy. Imang no punya bagang mata pitu nancha acharya nancha sabba satanancha sabba mitanancha Sabbanyatinancha, Sabbapetanancha, Sabbadevatanancha, Bhajema. Imano punya bagang sabba satanang dema, sabbe satha sukita hontu. Idang menyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang menyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang menyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana patiya. Idang me punyang asawakaya wahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Brothers and sisters in Dhamma, before we end, Let us pay homage to the triple gem. Budang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. Brothers and sisters, Suki Hontu. I'm glad that some of you also have read the books, What Buddhists Believe, and Buddha and His Teachings. Wonderful. For those who have not read the books, at least start off with the What Buddhists Believe. And you can consider to get some copies and treat it as a gift to your friends. That would be great. Wow, we have come to the end to this morning's online Sunday Buddha Puja service, and thank you to those who have sent their greetings, put their comments in the comment box. Thank you for your participation, and please continue to give us a like how you feel about this online session. Well, I'd like you all to refer to the Facebook for the information of the next Sunday Buddha Puja service, which will be next weekend. Please continue to stay safe, stay cautious with your family. May you and family be safe, well, happy, and peaceful always. Suki Hontu, and goodbye. Have a great weekend.
Bahong sahan semabhinim mita sayudantang ngirimi kelang udita Sasene marang Dana di Dhamma vidina